sore back, numb hands. Have you ever had this when you're riding a bike? This happens to a lot of people, and for a lot of people it's enough to keep them from riding, which means you don't get all the amazing benefits of using your bike for transportation. But like a lot of things around cycling, it can get complicated quickly. And so today I thought I'd offer a very simple guide to making your bike as comfortable as possible for urban cycling and bike commuting. The first point in comfort is probably ensuring that you have the right bike for the job. Now, if you are riding your bike every day to work, to get groceries, to meet your friends, and you're riding a full suspension mountain bike that's built for downhill racing, it's a bit of a mismatch and it's going to affect your comfort. And what a lot of that comes down to is body position. A lot of bikes built for athletics, like road bikes or racing bikes or mountain bikes, get you really low in a really aerodynamic, aggressive position because that's what makes you go faster. But when you're riding in the city and the goal is not to beat somebody else in a race, you probably want to be back a little bit higher up and have a little bit more relaxed body position. Now this is a bike that's intended for commuters. It's a Priority Continuum Onyx. It's brand new right out of the box, and I thought I would go through this video today and make some adjustments to make it feel like my own and bring you along for the ride. But I think the first point is make sure you've got the right tool for the job. The next thing to think about, of course, is ensuring your bike is the proper size. Proper fit is my tip number 2. If your bike is the wrong size, it can be a pain in the neck, as well as a pain in the back, the butt, the wrists, the knees. Now, if your bike is the wrong size, if you bought a large when you're a medium or a small when you're a medium, there's not a lot you can do beyond making some micro adjustments that we'll talk about here later. So how do you choose the right size? Well, that's hard to say. It's a bit like buying blue jeans. You may be a 34, 32 in one brand and a 36, 34 in another brand. Bikes are a bit like that too. A medium frame may be great for you in one brand, but not another one. So you really have to get out there and test them, ask them lots of questions, make sure you get the right fit if you're buying a new bike. Once you've got that locked down, there's lots of little adjustments you can make to ensure that you're feeling comfortable. The first adjustment you probably want to make is making sure you've got the right saddle height. How do you know if it's the right height? Well, the experts will say if your saddle's at a height where your leg, when it's extended, is only at a slight bend, that's the height you want. But everybody's body is different, and so that may work for most people. That's probably the most efficient way of pedaling, which is why it gets recommended. But you know, some people's bodies are different and they may want to adjust it from within that. But make sure your saddle's the right height. The way you do that is a bolt here. Sometimes it's just a lever. You unscrew it, or you use a tool to get in there and you can raise and lower your saddle. Oh, but we're just getting started with the saddle. Once it's at the right height, you can also slide the saddle back and forth so that you get that sweet spot. You want your butt on the padded bit without being too far back so all your weight is there, and not too far forward so that your whole body is riding on your nether bits, your perineum, your notch. So what you can do is, usually there's 2 little bolts right here. Just take a little Allen wrench and loosen them off, which I'll do right now. There you go, and once they're loose, you can adjust it this way, forward and back, and you can adjust sort of the pitch of it a little bit as well. So you kind of have to just play with it until you figure it out. So get it to the spot you want. This one for me, I think, needs to move a little bit forward, and then snug it up. Keep trying, go for a ride, and make a whole bunch of little adjustments until it's feeling great. You'll get it. So if your saddle's at the right height, the next thing you want to think about is your handlebars and your cockpit area, because there's a few things you can do here, but they're not as easy to adjust as that saddle. So you want to make sure you're not reaching too far or they're not too close to you. You want to get a nice position, and you want them upright enough so that you can have the back where you want it, because sometimes just a little hunch can give some people some sore back pain. You may have to do some trial and error here, give it some time and figure it out. But if you want it higher, you can definitely get a stem that's a bit higher. You may have to go get some spacers in here as well, so talk to your local bike shop about that. You can also get a stem that's a little bit wider, or a little bit longer. You can sort of push it out there too. And one little thing for me is I find the handlebars make a big difference. My preference, these flat handlebars, these are called riser bars, are fine, but I prefer ones that have a little bit of a curve to them, the ones that sweep back a little bit. It's just I find my wrists get a little uncomfortable if they're like this, and so I usually will get a different pair of handlebars. Most bike shops will do a great job giving you a proper professional fit. It may cost you a little bit of money, but in the long run, if it gets you riding and makes you feel comfortable, it'll be worth it. The next thing to think about is tires. Now, whenever I get a new pair of tires, I'm always surprised. Like a nice supple pair of new tires might be the best thing you can do for comfort on your bike. They just feel so good. I'm always surprised by it. Anyway, there's three things to think about when it comes to comfort on your tires. There's width, there's pressure, and there's the type of tire as well. So really it's finding a balance that's comfortable for you. I like sort of skinnier tires in the city because they're a bit more efficient for getting around. I tend to keep the air pressure at around 60 psi, which is pretty high within the recommended level for this tire. And that's because I usually roll on pavement and I very rarely go off-road, where lower pressure might give me a little bit of squishy comfort. I also like a tire with a nice supple rubber, and so the brand and make of the tire can make a difference as well. Oh, also don't shoot videos by live train tracks. This is an abandoned rail line. I just needed you to know that. Also, before we leave here, one other thing, did you notice? This bag used to be on my back and I've moved it onto the bike, and this is a huge overlooked area for comfort as far as I'm concerned. Getting backpacks off your back and onto your bike is such a better way of living your bike life. It's heavy, it makes your back sweaty, it's strain on your shoulders and neck. Get it onto your bike. So use a pannier, however you like to say it, pannier. Okay, I've adjusted my seat, I've adjusted my seat post, I've adjusted my bag, I've adjusted the tires. They're at the pressure I like. And my go-to for city bikes is usually to forget about suspension. You know, if you get a suspension fork or even a full suspension bike, those things can really drive up the cost of a bike. And I don't think you need them in most cities. If you're driving mostly on pavement, those suspensions are built for off-roading, really. However, that being said, I'm gonna make a modification to my bike here, because one thing I've never actually tried is suspension seat post. And so I'm gonna replace this seat post with a suspension seat post. I know I just made all these adjustments, now I need to make them again. Yes, it's heavier, yes, it's more expensive than a traditional seat post, but if it gives you a bit of suspension, it might be worth it. Incidentally, this is a suspension seat post from our friends over at RedShift. They sent this to me to give it a try, so let's give it a shot. Okay, seat post all adjusted. Let's give it a oh, I can feel it. You feel that? Oh, this will be interesting. So I set it for my recommended weight, but you can definitely adjust it from there. Oh, interesting. Let's give this a shot. I don't know if you can see it, but I can definitely feel the travel in that suspension. I might get used to this. The next piece to think about is the saddle itself. Now, there are a million different kinds of saddles. I have a whole video where I tested 5 of the most common types of saddles, and so you should check that out if you really want to get deep into it. But I would say the instinct often is to, there's a bulldog running around. I would say the instinct often is like the bigger, cushier saddle is going to be the most comfortable saddle, but that's not the case. A bigger, cushier, wide saddle is for a more upright bike, and that's why it's got the springs, where more of your weight is on the back. That's where you need the padding. And if you have a bike like that, like a cruiser bike or a European-style Dutch bike, then that's the right saddle. But if you have a bike like this, then a narrower saddle may be best for you as well. But generally, I would say the more you're leaning forward in your body position, the narrower you want your saddle to be. A lot of it depends on your body too. A lot of them have a notch in the important part of your nether regions. And if that part gets sore on you, look for the notch as well. So lots of options to look at for saddles. I would just say, like, try them all out. And also, one thing to note on saddles is if you go for a big ride and you haven't been on your bike for a while, every human with a butt will have a sore butt after that. Don't judge it based on that. Sometimes getting used to a saddle is just a matter of time and use. couple more points to finish this off. One is that I would say just make sure you're also taking care of the basics. If you're getting sore wrists, maybe some ergonomic hand grips can help. Fenders to keep you warm and dry, that'll help your comfort level also. Make sure your bike is running well and it's not clicking all the time, so keep it clean, keep it well maintained. That also contributes to comfort. And my last point is to experiment. A lot of this is just trial and error. I still am making tweaks after all these years of riding as well. That's one of the joys of cycling, is discovering new things that work for you. There you go. I hope that helps keep you comfortable. A comfortable cyclist is a happy cyclist, I think. And we all want to ride in comfort more often. And I hope this helps you. Thanks for watching.